Welcome everybody, we're back to Spin a Rack. Today we're talking about Avengers Infinity War Endgame. That's what I'm calling Infinity War Endgame.
It's not Infinity War, it's just
Infinity
Endgame.
War Endgame, and
It's
we were
just
talking about
Endgame.
the spoiler review. Did we like it? Did we not? What did we think about specific things? So we're gonna put this ball on Cal's thing. What did you think about the first act? We're gonna go act by act.
Okay, the first act is pretty much the repercussions of what happened in the first film. Okay.
And what they do about it.
Okay, and then the second act is the heist. Okay, and then the third act is the final battle. You can do it of that nature.
Yeah,
okay,
let's rock with
so
that.
we come. One. Okay, I had an audience. I saw this at 12:30 a.m.
Wait, I'm the audience guy. You don't talk about the audiences.
I'm just letting you know what happened in my.
But I'm just saying I'm the audience guy.
Yeah, what,
You don't play the audience.
12:30 a.m. I saw the film. Okay, I saw the film. Superstar was there as well, and we sat through the entire thing. Time literally flew by. We could have sat there for another hour, because we were just really engrossed in it. That first hour, I have to admit, did feel. I mean, when it was starting, it felt like it was going slowly because I was waiting for some pulse, pounding action.
Right.
But they really wanted to deal with what happened in the first film. So we get to see grief counseling. They try to take it to Thanos and everything that they should have done in that first film. I'm going to cut the hand off. Everything they should have done, we get that. Okay, and you really get to the point where there's even this great sequence where the screen blacks out after they've killed Thanos, and it blacks out almost like the movie's over.
Right.
And then we see 5 years later how everybody is still struggling to try to deal with it. The world is still trying to deal with it, which I thought was, it was even a nice tap of the head where Captain America's leading a grief counseling session, and Jim Starlin is there, Ron Lim is there, all these cats are there. So, I thought that was very well done, and they were really doing their best to try to add as much realism as to what these characters would be doing with their greatest loss ever. Since these guys have been together, they've been able to pull a rabbit out of a hat and pretty much cheat, whatever was coming at them or defeat whatever was coming at them. And this was not just a loss, this was a monumental loss for them to have to absorb. But then we get to the close of that act and we realize that there's a reason why these guys are heroes and they're not going to quit. That we could take the 5 years as like hiatus for these guys to try to get themselves back together. If anything else, the one person who really shows himself to be the mainstay of the group is Captain America. Because while Iron Man goes off and he needs to recover and recuperate and start a life for himself, and Thor decides he's going to become Volstagg from the comics. I'll let Pete do more on that one if he so chooses. Captain America is pretty much steadfast. At no point we see Captain America become more of who he was in those first films. When we first see him, he's got the beard and the longer hair. When we see him 5 years later, he's clean cut again. He's Steve Rogers. And at no point it never comes across that he's ever given up that there might be a chance for them to somehow still pull out a win out of this whole thing. At no point. So I really, I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the first one a lot for what they were doing, not for what they tried to do, but they really successfully achieved it. And I also thought that was very good because it put a lot of people in their place. If you came there thinking, okay, I just want to get straight back into it, like no, this story has to take a certain tact and it has to take a certain path. If we're going to be very respectful to all the stuff that happened in the first film, if we overturn everything within the first 15 minutes. What was the sense in keeping you there for the last 2.5 hours in the first?
You gotta have rules. You have to have rules. So, look, the first act, I think we just want to go over a couple of good things. One of the great things I liked about the first act is that they reintroduce one of our favorite characters, Hawkeye. And in this role, in this movie, he shines. They've given him more space. And people always say, hey, why do you need a guy who has no powers in something where you're having tons of powers? And Hawkeye does it extremely well.
I'm shaking with you. You should change his name to
Ninja. Just turn him into a ninja.
Change him to
Doesn't
Deadeye.
mean
Okay, look, I'm not going to do, you can call him Hawkeye Samurai, Hawkeye Ronin, Hawkeye
the phony
Ninja.
name that is the
more
most,
like Killer Shrike. Yeah. That's what you ought to call him.
Hawkeye comes back and you feel the emotional resonance of what he has done. His family has been taken away from him, and he starts going after all the bad guys. Unlike
he's killing them.
Right, it's okay. And I'm saying the problem that you have with, I felt with, at least in the first act, is that, I felt that if the world collapsed, think about it right now, half the world is gone, right?
Yeah.
Half the world is gone. So that means, the dispatch person, the guy who fixes the computer for the dispatch, the police dispatch, he's gone. So now one of the dispatchers is gone. The cops is gone. So all of a sudden the whole society collapses. And nowhere there. They show like instances of society having difficulties, but they don't show like the Avengers going out, the ones who remain trying to help to stabilize it and to make it. They're just like, oh my gosh, we're sitting here and wallowing in our pain.
I don't know if they
No, that's
try to do that.
That's not accurate because we did see
When? Show me.
No, there was
America,
that sequence where the Black Widow's there, and she's got people reporting in from around the world. But this is more like rote. It's not with the same. It's not with the same zeal. Not let me say zeal. It's not with the same genuine nature of the Avengers earlier, where they looked like they were really trying to make things better. This felt like they were just going through the motions. Hey, this is what we were doing before, so we're going to keep doing it. The problem with Hawkeye is, if his family had been part of the lucky ones who didn't get removed, would he be going out and doing this type of stuff?
No, he wouldn't.
So that's why I have the problem with it.
What is the problem? Of course, if your family is, you're going to
can't
take it out all those bad guys who survived, and you're like, these guys don't need to live because these guys are bad, while the people who are good, and we're going to make the world a better place by getting rid of them.
No, it doesn't add up. It's not. It's just.
Okay, so we're going to have to agree.
It's a lack of heroism on his part, because at the end of the day, they brought everyone else back, and those guys that he decided to put in the grave, it's not necessary.
They were bad guys.
They're not going to bring your family back.
You're also missing the fact that he's dealing with the same way he dealt with the helicarrier in the first Avengers movie. He could shoot one arrow, blow up the whole cartel, sneak in there. He doesn't have to fight them and kill all of them. He can use his arrow. He's Hawkeye.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. What you're going to say, right? I know what you're going to say, right, Mario? He wants to get in close, feel them die. That's how he's going to exercise the pain, right? It looks cool at the end of the day, but it doesn't do a lot for his character.
Okay. I think it was a very good point of his character. I thought they shouldn't have brought back his family, but hey, that's on me. I think they should have kept him dark. But you know what? I liked Hawkeye, what happened to him, especially the whole development between him and Black Widow. Another thing I thought about in the first act, you have Black Widow, who's basically, everybody else has abandoned her. I don't think Steve Rogers is there. He's out doing his, hey, I'm happy-go-lucky, we have to push on, while she's there trying to keep
happy-go-lucky.
She's there trying to.
He was leading the grief counseling.
Yeah.
One small grief counseling out of the
He's been
billions
doing it for
of people.
5 years. He's been doing it for 5 years.
If 5 people are shot, that's not going to work.
Come on.
But she's there trying to help stabilize the world.
She looked, as they like to say back in the old days, she looked tore up from the floor up. Okay, her hair was growing out. You know, the real color
because
is growing out.
There's a
the
lot
real
of work
color was growing out the blonde. Come on.
If half the world is gone, you're gonna be blown out. You know what I'm saying? They all look tired.
Which
but
side
Steve
do you
Rogers,
want? You're saying
5
you want more.
years
You wanted
later,
all the
get a
budget.
haircut.
You wanted all the budget that went to all the action to go to the grief counseling.
No, not the grief counseling, but I just wanted to see
farming,
more of the world.
You wanted the Avengers farming and doing
You want to see
stuff,
Captain America on a commercial. If you need counseling, call 1-800.
Yeah,
I want to see Captain America come and say, "Yo, I'm taking over. I'm in
he
charge
can't take
now."
over the world.
The world was messed up, bro.
He can't take over.
Oh, I see where you're going now, with your little Dr. Doom machinations again, right? This is the perfect time for somebody to step in, okay? Put themselves as leader of the free world, which will not be free when you're done with it, right? I see you and your little villain machinations.
But that's exactly. Someone's going to do that. Doom.
No,
the Mandarin.
You're talking about a different
Somebody
movie.
already did that. It was called Thanos. That's why the world is in the problem it's in.
All right, so that was my issue. So the next part about the is the fact that we have Captain Marvel come back. You know, the very fact people have been knocking her all along and saying, "Oh, Captain Marvel, she can't." And Captain Marvel came back, and we see that at least when she comes back, they accept her as part of the group.
No.
She's the one.
They didn't really accept her as part of the group when she came back because she had that bad haircut.
What?
The haircut was so
Wait,
bad.
are you seriously
Which
going
one?
to pick up about a haircut?
Not her regular hair.
Oh my gosh! No, we're
you mean
we're
when she
talking
came-
first act. First act. We're not doing
first act. Well, the first act.
Oh, when she came back with the G-Way
Hey,
haircut?
we're talking about first act.
The G-Way?
That is the first act.
No,
yeah, she came back with the bad hair. They had the picture, and you saw her when she was talking to everybody. And he was like, "Hey, and what's the name? Rocket Raccoon."
Do you talk about
and
the
something.
guy's haircut? You know, that's
If it was bad?
Yeah, I talked about Captain America's hair.
No, you're talking about.
Yeah, I talked about Captain
I
America's
take
hair. I
offense
said,
to
what
that.
did he
I feel
do?
offended that you talk about a woman's hair.
Oh, get out of here. I talked about Captain
Rocket
America's hair. Get out of here.
Raccoon said it was a bad haircut, so it's a part of the first act. And the other
That's
thing
because she
is-
went the G-Way instead of doing it the right way.
And then she discovers she finds our boy Iron Man and Nebula.
No, but that was a little too. I mean, they had a good plot thing where he's stuck in space, and then just having this powerhouse say, "All right, we're just gonna fly you all the way back."
How the hell would you find her in space? You know, space is so.
No, they whatever thing she's already gone through out of all space, so she could find him. The problem is that it's too easy because you're like, how do you come out of it? Okay, she just flies him back. Even if she got in the ship and powered it, and like she was like straining, that would make a little more effect, but it was a little too easy.
Why
Even
was
though
she
they
straining?
had,
she's able to destroy gigantic battleships, bro.
Look, the fact I'm saying that to have a little more tension in that scene.
Not to cut to the last act, but she fights Thanos toe to toe, and it really looked like, hey, she's gonna take this dude.
But he took her. Remember that.
He needed a stone to take her. That was the thing. Everybody else and people forget the first film. In the first film, he was struggling with fights against. He said Nebula snuck aboard the ship and nearly killed him. Nebula fought him.
Assassin. She was
Okay, he fought the other guys. He was Iron Man, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Doctor Strange. He fought all of those guys. He had and he had the gauntlet. Okay, so that was something.
Well,
That was something. Okay, but even
You're
without the
moving too far.
even
because-
without the
Yeah,
gauntlet. Even without the gauntlet, these guys were giving him a run for the money. Now he's got literally he's got the gauntlet again. Okay, and it took all those guys. She's holding them. He's
All
holding
right,
them.
but we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get
She's
past.
Superman.
We're gonna
Yeah.
pass the first.
All right. So, any
first
more
one.
comments on the first?
I'm
act?
just saying, as I said in the other spoiler-free one, is that having the Russos are very much into action and having these quiet moments, even though they didn't put a lot of money to show the scale, they didn't go I Am Legend with the scale of how the world is.
Are you
just-
criticizing me?
What are you talking about?
Because I'm saying that they should have done more scale.
Got to
about the
disagree
whole
with you there.
No, I don't think.
But they
finish the
did.
point. Let me finish the point. I'm saying the scale of showing it the way I Am Legend showed you how much on a day-to-day
Devastation.
basis happened. Not talking about a scene where it's closed. And I obviously understand budgetary reasons. They did enough to, but I'm just saying, I'm just glad that they did.
You seriously think they had a problem with budgets in this number?
No, I'm saying
They're gonna
all the
throw some
budget
Let
went to
the
the
man
action.
finish.
Okay,
The thing is that they need, because they are such action guys, it's good that they had some quiet moments and some downtime where we got to see some humanity in the story. Because I think in the first one, the humanity is in between the characters, not in between the ordinary people. And see, even though I didn't necessarily like Hulk as however he was, as like a human,
Brilliant
huge
Hulk.
size Tony Danza Hulk,
Dr. Hulk,
sitting in the
Professor
diner,
Hulk.
but gave us some
Goomba.
human moments which we needed in this movie to lead into the next act. Because in I Am Legend, nobody's there. So what they gave us, besides the thing with the memorial, which was a good scene, I think showing how being able to really show how having the society would work, because they showed like beat up Ant-Man's family house and that sort of thing, and that's okay of showing a little bit. It's like we were arguing with some friends. A friend of mine brought it. Was like it's a little better than Bird Box, like what Bird Box was
Oh
able
my
to show.
gosh, you guys are crazy. So look, how do
They
you
had
feel?
some bit aerials, this sort of, but I think my point was more that it was about having those quiet moments, and I like that he did that.
So how do you feel that Ant-Man came back through the use of the quantum realm? What do you guys think about that?
Fine, that's what my cat would have done.
Yeah.
My cat would have done the same thing. My cat Lincoln would have came over by mistake, stepped on it, and then came back. It happens as much stuff as he gets into.
The bottom line,
come on.
the bottom line is when we saw you looked at the technology that these guys were using, and it looked like the Atari 5200 at the end of the day. It didn't look that sophisticated. And then two, from what we learned, what they were doing before, it was pretty much flip of a switch type stuff. So that was going to happen eventually. Okay, that was going to happen eventually. And see, those type of things I don't like to focus on. What's the chance? No. The importance of Ant-Man coming back is Ant-Man restores the one thing that's missing from the Avengers at this portion, and it's hope.
Yes.
Okay? Once, they killed Thanos and they were like, the gems are gone, and they couldn't think of anything else, that's where these guys lost hope, and they're going through the motions. But once they see Ant-Man again, okay, hope. He survived. There's one person over there on that list who isn't dead. How is he not dead? Let's get the ball rolling. And then he comes over like, no, I've been in the quantum universe over here. Time passes differently. And then we get the whole time heist going. So I guess we can move into the second act. Yeah?
All right, time heist.
Well,
Actually, we
no,
forgot about
no.
the whole Thanos thing.
Before we get into, because that gets into like the aspect of what Thanos did and what happened to the gems. That's too. I mean, we don't have to get into that. The fact that they can't reverse that stuff.
Right,
That
well,
can't be reversed.
Okay, that's right. There's some rules, and that's one thing I do like about it. They did put down some rules, and they had to stick to the rules in terms of that and in terms of time. But what do you think about the whole idea about Thanos when they went after him? I
don't think what do we need
didn't
to
we
say
address-
about
yeah,
that?
we addressed
don't
it
need
already.
to-
Like, look,
we don't
you
need to
gave-
say it unless you just want to say
gave
what
the
happened.
audience-
It's a spoiler review, so say what happened.
What do
So-
you want to say?
Well,
You
so
already
what
said
happened
it, so you
I already
go.
said that earlier before, one, and then two, I said, you gave the audience what they wanted. That's what everybody was waiting for. They're going to go after him, they're going to get the gauntlet back, and they're going to bring everybody else back. And then when they go there, they execute exactly what it is. It's too late. They can't do anything about
Why?
it.
Because
and now they're stuck.
Thanos has basically damaged himself with the.
He destroyed the gems. He destroyed the Infinity
damaged
Gems.
himself and damaged the gems so that no one could make anything to go back. So,
But that's set,
and
it's
then
set
Thor,
up in,
and
it's
then
set
Thor,
up in, but
and
it's
then
set
Thor,
up, it's
and
set
then
up.
Thor, and Thor ends up beheading him.
Oh,
you
God,
know?
that's all you wanted to say. Just say that.
Yeah, you could've just said
get it
that.
over with. It wasn't a powerful scene for anything because they don't
I
get
thought it was a
anything out
powerful
of it.
scene.
What did they get out of that scene?
Nothing. They just totally
As
lost.
far,
It
we're
was-
supposed to feel. That's the whole thing. What you went to the 5 years. That's where you say that.
Oh, what?
You say that.
Well,
you wanted to say that point. They
Their
went
best-
to it, and
their
then 5
best
years
plan-
later it was gone.
The best plan that they had going for themselves, the best plan that they had, it was perfectly executed, and at the end of the day,
was too late.
it was in vain,
Yeah,
it was futile. And that leads into the rest of that act where
The
they are
5 years.
dealing with the futility of their actions. Okay? And with Ant-Man and Wasp, again, no, there's hope.
Hope comes back.
Okay?
Right.
We can try to get, we get another
Well,
shot
not
at this.
actually was it Hope Van Dyne, but Hope itself. You just don't want to get mixed up.
Okay, between you had to say that one. Okay, let's go.
All right. So people are making
I
their
got
point.
mixed up.